Woo! We're live, everybody. Welcome to this evening event. It's a doozy, everybody. That's right, we got a doozy event. I just got out of the hot steaming bath like seconds ago, so I'm kind of like steamed up, sweating. So let's see here. Okay, just kind of like going over the questions, saying what we're talking about today is raw vegan ketogenic diet that I've embarked on yesterday. And I'm extremely excited about this, guys. I'm testing it out to see if it's legit. And then I will make my conclusions on whether a raw vegan ketogenic diet is the best diet in the world. Or a cooked, healthy, high raw ketogenic diet. We're going to talk about all of this tonight. I made a promise to begin. Hello, Lori from Florida. To begin this ketogenic discussion 30 minutes into the Hangout. So we're 28 minutes away. I'll probably touch on it a little bit here and there, but right at the 30-minute mark, we're going full force. I'm already starting on it right now, actually, because what we have here is I drink massive amounts of the green coconuts here in Ecuador. They're not like the Thai coconuts that are high glycemic. But now what we're doing is making coconut water kefir. And there's two main, here I go already. This is just, what happens is the beneficial bacteria. There was a man on the last Hangout who I was wondering, how the heck am I gonna do this? I drink so much liquid. And there was a man on the last Hangout, he says, well, why don't you just make coconut water kefir? And that, what the beneficial bacteria, what they do is they eat up all the sugar and it turns into beneficial bacteria. And it's almost like drinking kombucha, but not kombucha. It's like way less alcohol-like. And I'm just like, oh yeah. I'm also doing straight green juice instead of half carrot, half green. Since I'm like sweating so much right now, I need liquid. For those of you just joining in, I just got out of the bath, hot bath, and I've been sweating like crazy. Oh, we've got some great ketogenic questions here. Okay, so what happened was I started a raw vegan ketogenic diet yesterday. Before that, I was kind of weaning myself into it. And the most difficult aspect was getting off of cashews. Ever since I've been on a raw food diet, I've been extreme purist, and I haven't really done many cashews. But, you know, I was kind of like eating gourmet and lots of stuff. And I was doing gourmet, I was doing cashews every single, and cashews are fine. They're not unhealthy or anything like this. I've been doing this for 18 years. I'm extremely sensitive. I brought in my diet to as pure as it can go at one point. And then it's like I have to go backwards a little bit. So anyways, I was doing crazy amount. I was doing cashew every single day, that cashew ranch dressing that you saw in that paleo wrap video. And I probably did it for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in a row, which is the first time I've ever done that much cashew every single day. It's a legume, not a nut. It's a little more starchy carbohydrate. And so after doing that for so long, I was kind of getting like, kind of fatigued from doing it every day for like 3 weeks, or I don't know how long it was. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for a change. And this is right when the raw ketogenic thing came in. And I was already kind of fatigued. And then so I stopped that and I eliminated fruit, which I only ate in the morning. I just replaced that with coconut meat and chia seeds. So it wasn't that big of a transition. The biggest transition was eliminating the massive amount of carrot juice and coconut water I drink every day, which was a big deal. But the first thing, I didn't eliminate anything that I was drinking differently. I was continuing to drink the coconut water and the carrot juice. And I just eliminated, I switched fruit for chia and coconut meat, which wasn't that big of a deal, and eliminated cashews. And for 4 days, I was just like going through the withdrawals of the cashews, it felt like. And I was very fatigued for 4 days. And then one day I woke up and my nose was clear. It was like I was back to the extreme purity diet now, because now I'm just eating whole foods. So I know Jake's watching. He's like kind of was sad that I was eating a little bit more gourmet with fruit with fat. Well, I guess you can consider that I'm back on the purity wagon. But anyways, when you get this clean, and then I do something like that, it just takes 4 days to be back to where it's no big deal. And the amount I sweat from baths and steam rooms, and I run every day, it's insane. I'm drinking straight green juice, no carrots, and coconut kefir water. And this is beneficial bacteria. And I think I'm reaping benefits from this too on some level. I'm waiting till the 7:30 mark till I start talking about that. So let's see. Oh, we got a huge crowd today. Huge crowd. What we're talking about today is the raw ketogenic diet. And in 13 minutes, is it 13? 23 minutes, I started a raw vegan ketogenic diet yesterday. I'm only eating fat and protein with no sugar or carbohydrates. And so this has begun. I just kind of talked about my transition into it. And what I'm doing is I'm using this Hangout as a before photo of my body at 7:30, well, 7:30 here, 8:30 Eastern time. I'm gonna break off my shirt, and then that will be the before. And the ketogenic diet, there's a lot of benefits. And I'm not doing it for muscle mass. It goes way beyond that. But one of the benefits of doing a ketogenic diet is it's supposed to help recovery time and also muscle mass. We'll get into the science of that in a little bit. I just don't want to, I want to make sure everybody's involved first. I told everybody that I would start this discussion in 22 minutes from now. But I can't help it. Okay, so this is what I'll do in the meantime. Okay, so how many months have I been working out now? I started working out again, I'm gonna guess 4 months ago. And I started putting on some muscle mass. And when I was younger, I lifted weights. I was at the point where I could lift 300 pounds. And so I built up a certain amount of muscle mass from doing push-ups, and I started slowly, just so it was easy on me. I would just do 12 push-ups a day. And then I built up to 20, and then 30, and then 36. And then when I went beyond 36, I kind of had joint issues, so I stopped there. So in addition to that, I started lifting weights. And I used to love lifting weights. I was addicted to it, you know, all that type of stuff. And what happened was I could feel like injuries from lifting weights in the back were coming back. So, and I wasn't really gaining that much more muscle mass. So I started doing something out. So I started doing something new instead of lifting weights, I just abandoned lifting weights. And I started to do this new process. And then all of a sudden, muscle mass started pouring on me, like more. It like took it to the next level from ditching weights and only using my body to do workouts. Whoa. This is the highest attended Hangout I think we've ever had. Okay, so what happened was, so about I'd say 4 months ago, I started working out. And so I started doing, I guess you could call it calisthenics, to start building muscle mass. And I'll show you kind of what I do. It will help me maybe get a little bit more buff before I take my shirt off. I can't believe I said I would do that. All right. Anyways, so what happened was, if you go to Facebook and look up the Strength Project, I saw it was, they have all these guys that are doing all these phenomenal strength exercises. I was just blown away by it. And there was, from a long time ago, there was these two kids that were able to just like hold themselves like in this position where they're like this, and then they bring it all the way up to a handstand and bring their legs all the way up, and then they're like, and then they come back down to Superman style. And I was like, I want to do that. So I was thinking to myself, how would I do that? How would I build up the strength to do that? I wasn't really necessarily interested in muscle mass, but more like strength, even though, of course, I want muscle mass. So I started doing different things, and then my muscle, lifting weights didn't do this. And then muscle for a raw food guy started coming on. Now keep in mind, I'm a raw food guy. So when I take my shirt off in 19 minutes from now, which I can't believe I'm doing still, mine, I'm 100% raw vegan, no animal protein or anything like that. It's more of a lean muscle mass body type thing. So as I was mentioning earlier, what I was doing was I started out with 12 push-ups and built up to 35 over many days, weeks, or whatever. So then I'm like, I want to be able to do what these Strength Project guys do. So I started doing other things like poses. And this is the main thing that I started out. It's called crow. And what I would do, can you guys see me? Here, let me do this. I would go like this. And then I wouldn't count how long. Let me see if I can see, you guys can see me. Yeah. I wouldn't count how long I was doing it, but I would just stay in this position until I couldn't go anymore. Because if I start counting, I'll start like killing myself mentally. So I seriously just stay here for as long as I can until I'm like ready to collapse. And so I just sit here. And then I realized if I could start building up strength this way, I could hold myself up like those guys would do. And so I would do this many times, probably like 3 times. And then I would try other strength positions. I'm against weights for myself. And so I do things like this. And just stay there for as long as I can. I don't mean to bore you, but if I'm going to be taking my shirt off, I got to at least be ripped a little bit. See, I've been doing this for a while, so I could maintain pretty long time. And then I'll feel guilty if I come down early. All right. Okay, so, whew. I would do things like that. And then I would also do handstand. And then I would go like this, like on my desk. Woo! I'm sweating. I would just like sit like this and hold it like that. And then I would try to bring my legs up in front of me and just do that a few times. Handstands and things like that. So I started to build muscle mass pretty hardcore without any weights. And also you're not dependent on weights. You could do it anytime, anywhere, right off of a plane, in your hotel room, whatever you want to do, man. Woo! Okay, so what we're gonna do in 15 minutes from now, I'm gonna break off my shirt, and that will be the before picture of the raw keto diet. And we'll see what we can do with the raw vegan keto diet. Okay. We've got lots of questions here. But I don't even know where to start. What we'll do right now, maybe I should get started a little bit early. I mean, the amount of viewers on it is like through the roof. So what I'll start to do, I said I would show my body at the 8:30 mark. So what I'm gonna do is that in 14 minutes. But in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is talk about the raw vegan ketogenic diet and why I like it so much. And why I'm doing this experiment and why I think I'm gonna like it that much. Because maybe, you never know when like science is fabricated or people's views are just pushing in one way. So getting anecdotal evidence where you try it yourself, you'll definitely see the differences. One of the main things though, I've been doing this for 2 days and I have like wrinkles. And it feels like my wrinkles around my eyes have already started to go away on some level. I'm kind of excited about what the possibilities are here. So doing this raw vegan ketogenic diet, I'm not doing it for muscle mass. It also is very profound for losing weight. And we'll talk about that science in regards to that too. But these are just side effects of other reasons. The other reasons, we're going deep on a cellular level. We have the potential to change our epigenetics. What that means is, epigenetics is like changing your genetic expression without changing your genetic coding. Like you're born with a genetic code, but you can change your expression by using other pathways, metabolic pathways, signaling pathways, to where you're using different aspects of your body on a cellular level. So then you are changing your genetic expression because you are functioning differently. And there's a way to be functioning more efficiently and less efficiently. And that's what we're going to get into today with the possibility of this whole entire raw vegan ketogenic diet, because the science that I've been stumbling upon has the potential to be revolutionary. And there's many benefits. One is when you're doing something like this, you're eliminating the most damaging foods to the human body, which are refined sugars and processed starches. Just that alone, without any of the other benefits that we're going to talk about, is profound. People heal from all sorts of degenerative diseases by eliminating processed foods. So, let's do this. We've got a lot of ketogenic questions here too, so that's good. If you have any questions, you can ask this in 2 places. It'd be best if we ask ketogenic questions for now. At the end of the Hangout, I'll answer all the other questions. But where you'd want to ask these questions is at news.therawfoodworld.com/live. Or you can go to my Facebook profile page and ask them here. Let's see how we're doing here on this Facebook. What's up, Mia from KC? Okay. Okay. Shazzy writes, the crow position is a great way to stop constipation. Good to see you, Shaz. Today we can chat on here on one of these Hangouts. Today we got a big raw vegan ketogenic diet thing going on right now. The first one that's never been seen before. Quickly, many people were saying, Matt, this is not the first ever raw vegan ketogenic diet. And I'm like, okay, let's hear it. They were talking about this one raw food, Popular Guys, phase 1 diet, rainbow diet or something. That is not a raw vegan ketogenic diet. There's some different aspects in regards to that. Number one, the difference here is that is just a temporary thing utilized for the first stages of trying to heal from serious diseases. It's only recommended in serious cases, or you start on phase 1.5. Furthermore, in that diet, there is allowed beets and carrots as condiments and stuff like this. So that's not fully eliminating sugar from your diet. Furthermore, coconut oil is not allowed for people with serious conditions and things like that, cacao beans. So there is a big difference there. The purpose between them, the intent between the two are completely different. And in 9 minutes from now, we're going to do my before picture of my body before the raw ketogenic. We're going to see what this can do. I'm still kind of a little nervous, shaking a little bit that I got to take my shirt off in front of this many people. That this is probably the most well-attended hangout we've ever seen. People who want to hear about the raw vegan ketogenic diet. So here we go. What we're loaded here with people. So what we're going to do, let me get another green juice. We're going to start diving in to why I'm doing this and the science behind it. So I'm kind of like hesitant to start talking about this because I did say 30 minutes into the hangout, but we're so loaded with so many people and it keeps going up. I'm just going to begin now. And then in 8 minutes, we'll do the before account. Everyone can take their screenshots of me before, and then we can take screenshots of me afterwards. Okay. And don't make fun of me if I have to like do muscle poses so I kind of look buff. All right, so let's do this. So why am I so excited of doing this raw vegan ketogenic diet thing? We were kind of touching a bit base on it before. So here, what's up, Cynthia Beaver? We got Cynthia Beavers here. She says the raw food world rocks. She's also another big time raw food chef. She has opened her own store. Are you still in Tulsa, Oklahoma over there? Anyways, good to see you, Cynthia. Okay, so it's like, where do I begin? Let's begin talking about, okay, so the body utilizes food for a couple of things. She is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Awesome. So we need to get vitamins and minerals. This is very important to the human body. That's why I like to drink green juices and take a quintessential, which I'm going to do right now. This is one of the best mineral supplements in the world. One is to get the vitamins and minerals the body needs. But when we're talking about burning fuel for things like such as ketosis or getting that from sugar, glycolysis, this is pretty much to produce energy, the sustenance to where we have our energy to function. Not really necessary for getting vitamins and minerals. It's for producing energy. So here's the beginning of the concepts. When a person uses sugar for their fuel to create ATP, they're getting this from, oh, sweet, the numbers just bumped a bunch right now. People are getting their energy from sugar. When they're doing this, their body goes through a certain process where the glucose gets split up into two. Pyruvate is created, and then also some ATP is also created. When you get your fuel source from sugar, when it goes through this entire metabolic process, there is a metabolic waste that is created in that process, which is normal and okay. But when people, most Americans today, who are eating ridiculous amounts of refined sugar and stuff like this, incredible amounts of metabolic waste is being created in the human body. And this is like kind of what is seen in Alzheimer's patients. The resistance in their brain, their mitochondrial function up there is not doing too good. And there's a lot of issues up there. Now, the premise of when you eliminate refined sugars and carbs, because carbs are kind of like refined sugar in one sense, because it breaks down into glucose also and goes through the same metabolic pathways and creates the same metabolic waste. So when you kind of eliminate all that completely and just are eating vegetables as your carbs, your body has the potential to start burning fat, stored fat that you have, your body fat. This is why it's so good for losing weight. When you're utilizing insulin, when you're eating sugar, insulin takes all of the excess sugar and it stores it as fat for fuel for later on. So now you eliminate sugar, no insulin happens. Then afterwards, after you go through this transition, your body starts utilizing stored fat. And research shows that it uses stored fat, not the actual fat that you're eating. It uses both, but it's incredible the amounts of stored fat that your body is utilizing for fuel. And so when your body uses the stored fat for fuel, it takes the fat, puts it through the cell, and it goes into the mitochondria. And your mitochondria isn't necessarily needed when you are burning sugar for fuel. So it utilizes the mitochondria. And so you're kind of like activating it. It's like making it more healthy, more robust. And there are no, there's no metabolic waste when you're doing that. So there's no harm to the system. It's a very, oh my goodness, clean and efficient way to burn fuel without the metabolic waste. So this alone is a pretty big thing. So with that understanding, we're 3 minutes away from where I'm about to take off my shirt to where we could do this before and after so yeah, okay. This will be the before pick. I started a raw vegan ketogenic diet yesterday and we're seeing what it does. I'm already seeing results. It looks like my wrinkles are going away. I think that has to do with, well, many things. There's less metabolic waste, but there's also other benefits that happen through the science that we're going to discuss today when burning fat for fuel. Okay, so as we were mentioning earlier, when you start burning ketones as your fuel source instead of sugar, you start changing your genetic expression. Now, this is extremely important to understand, and this is incredible. It's called epigenetics. Many people are spending thousands of dollars on supplements to change their genetic expression in some way or another, and this is a free way to do it. In fact, drug companies would kill to have the results that actually occur in a drug. Okay, so what happens is one of the main ketone bodies is something called beta hydroxybutyrate. And what this is a very powerful signaling molecule. And what it does is it induces something called, I know I'm using all these big words, we'll get into what it is in a second. It induces histone acetylase inhibitors. And what this does is it kind of compacts our DNA more tight. And this is what drug companies would die for. And in a lot of cancer research right now, this is what is being studied, this whole entire histone acetylase inhibitor thing, because it has a lot to do with, if they can figure that type of thing out, it can help with cancer they're possibly thinking. Anyways, when you start using ketones, you start inducing these processes, and in the human body, all of your DNA becomes more compact and tight, so that it's more protected. And then what happens is you are more free, you have more protection from things like free radical damage, oxidation, cancer, and other things like this. As we were mentioning earlier, when a person is burning ketones as for fuel, they're using their mitochondria. And many people are trying to utilize their mitochondria by doing many different things. This is a big thing with longevity. And it also has to do with like the size of your telomeres. Telomeres are those caps on our chromosomes that kind of protect it. And people who do things like calorie restriction, it shows that the telomeres are longer. And what's so amazing about this ketosis thing is it mirrors calorie restriction. And one of the main benefits of doing this is because you start using your mitochondria through the process of burning. You burn sugar, the mitochondria doesn't have to be used at all. So you're kind of like pumping the fuel source through the mitochondria, kind of waking it up. And 10% of our body weight is this mitochondria. So many people who are trying to increase their telomere length, increase their mitochondria function for longevity, to fight free radical damage and things like this, what they're doing is they're doing intermittent fasting, calorie restriction, exercise. They do all of these different things to simply create these effects. And when you start going on a ketogenic diet, on a ketosis diet, what happens is you automatically mirror this and you start using the mitochondria and you start reaping all of these benefits. Now, I feel that we're gonna talk also, it's 7:32. There are a lot of damaging aspects. There's a lot of dangers in regards to the ketogenic diet, which we're also gonna discuss tonight. And I feel like if a person isn't doing it in a healthy way, that in the long run, they might run into issues. So just give me 1 minute, guys, and we'll do my before picture. Oh, man. Okay, so, all right, let's just do it now. Get it over with. Okay, so what I said, I started a raw vegan ketogenic diet yesterday. And so do I have to do it? So what I'm gonna do, about 4 months ago, I probably started working out. And I have a certain amount of muscle mass that I'm gonna show you right now. And then in 3 months from now, we're gonna do this again to get an after picture to see what my body looks like after doing a raw vegan ketogenic diet. There's many benefits through doing this type of thing. So what I'll do right now is show you my body. And then after that, what I'll do is we'll talk more about the benefits. And then we're gonna talk about the dangers. Okay, just do it. You know what this is like? It's like, you know when you're scared to do something like jumping off something, right? And you have to like think about it for a little bit and then, anyways. Okay, so here we go. Here's my body right now. I'm all nervous, I'm like shaking. Okay, so I'm gonna do like muscle mass poses. This is kind of like all goes on fruit, everything just from working out. So there we go. Do some straw. That's pretty good for a raw vegan dude, isn't it? And I lift no weights. I just do these poses that we're talking about and things like that. All right, so that's that. I'm not even gonna put my shirt back on. It's on backwards, but I don't care. Okay, so that was the before pic. Hopefully you took your screenshots. And then in 3 months, we'll do it again. Okay, so here we go. It's not funny. So we're talking raw vegan ketogenics here. I started 36 hours ago. So now we're gonna talk about other reasons why it's so beneficial. Yes, you lose weight. You start using your stored fat as fuel. And you can start building muscle more efficiently. There were studies showing that there were, in the muscle, 140 more increased, I think they called it metabolites, which are proteins, enzymes, and stuff like that. This is simply just in the muscle. And when we were talking about changing genetic expression, this is what we're talking about. So now we're talking about 140 different enzymes and proteins and things that are happening in the muscle alone, right there and then. This is like changing your genetic expression. Furthermore, when you start producing ketones instead of sugar as a fuel source, the main thing that everyone's shouting about is something called hydroxy butyrate. And this is the main ketone body, which makes amazing things happen in the human body. It creates signaling pathways, new signaling pathways. It's almost like they're very strong communicators within the body. What is a signaling pathway? You have one molecule that kind of signals another one and activates another molecule, and it's like a message that goes all the way to the very end until that molecular function is carried out. And what this is, this beta hydroxybutyrate is a very powerful signaling molecule. Many things have not been seen like this. And what it can do is it also suppresses something called inflammasome, NLR3P or something. I'm not even sure what it is. But this is like one of the major inflammatory pathways. And being on ketosis and this main ketone body actually suppresses that. So you actually have less inflammation on an ongoing basis. And much research actually shows that this happens. You have less interleukin 4 beta, interleukin 6, TNF4, TNF alpha. These are all inflammatory cytokines which create massive amounts of inflammation in the body. And being on this ketosis diet, this main ketone body suppresses that, which is extremely beneficial and amazing. Furthermore, your antioxidant mechanisms are upregulated, meaning they're more efficient. And also because this entire thing we were talking about, the main ketone body is inducing this thing called histone acetylase inhibitors, your cells become more compact and protected. And when this happens, you have better resistance against free radical damage. So now your antioxidant regulators more efficient, and you have less free radical damage. So now what we can do is breathe pollution more efficiently. We'll probably have less sun damage compared to someone who's burning sugar as fuel. You're just more effective. Also, I noticed just from doing this for a couple days, maybe it's just luck, but I noticed like the wrinkles around my eyes started fading. And what is that? Collagen and wrinkles, this usually comes from free radical damage. So now if you're becoming more efficient in that way, then maybe your wrinkles are going to disappear and things like this. So also another big aspect is when you're burning sugar as fuel, there's a lot of extra metabolic waste, to where when you're doing ketones, there's like no metabolic waste. It's a very clean machine. So that metabolic waste is kind of like also free radical damage too. And that is like blocked completely when you're burning ketosis. There's no more of that. It blocks that metabolic waste. It's an incredible thing. Also, less free radical damage, and your antioxidant mechanisms are working really well. When you're working out, there is less free radical damage. That means the recovery time supposedly is going to be quicker. So then you don't have to recover as much to build muscle mass and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see what it does to my muscle mass, but that's just like the beginning of it. There's many other benefits. As we were mentioning before, people with Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, cancer, ADD, ADHD, all of these other things, what is generally happening is it shows that they're utilizing a lot of sugar as fuel, like excess sugar, and this metabolic waste and insulin resistance in the brain and all of these different things. Amyloid plaque, which is a big thing in Alzheimer's disease. With amyloid plaque, you could like see that in the brain of people with Alzheimer's. That's not always like a for sure thing, because some people that have plaque don't have any signs of that. But this isn't something that you don't necessarily want there. And high insulin is linked to that type of stuff. So when you start to eliminate sugar and carbohydrates, this has the potential to heal that. It was actually, there's this one neurogenesis doctor who's heavy into Alzheimer's. He was talking about these Mayo Clinic studies that if a person is on a high carbohydrate, high sugar diet, they have like this 80% chance, more increased chance of getting Alzheimer's. And if they're on a high fat, low carb diet, there's a 44% decreased chance of getting that type of thing. And there's even a drug where, for Alzheimer's, where they try to get you to burn fat for fuel through your brain and stuff like that. Like the brain loves fat, if that makes sense. But one of the main benefits here is when you're burning excess amounts of sugar, too much of it, there's metabolic waste through that process to get energy. While when you're burning fat, not only are you using your fat stores, but there is no metabolic waste. It's a very efficient way to burn fuel. So a lot of these people who that have Alzheimer's and other issues like this, they're burning a lot of sugar for fuel, and their mitochondria function is kind of dormant. And this is it's damaged, it's not functioning properly. And when you start burning fuel like this through ketosis, you start pushing, it goes through the mitochondrial thing and it kind of wakes it up. It's like your body has to adapt to utilizing your mitochondria. And as we were stating before, this is huge for longevity. My Facebook thing went off. Telomere growth and things like this, anti-aging. And this is why, one of the reasons why the ketosis diet is so powerful. Let's see what else we're missing here. We talked about inflammation that's suppressed through doing that. Okay, we haven't really talked much about weight loss, so you might as well hit that. I mean, this is just pretty much obvious, and one of the main benefits that many people, one of the main reasons why people do this. And then we're gonna talk about the dangers of doing this ketogenic thing. All right, if you're tuning in, I'm gonna do the body thing again because the numbers like doubled again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you my body. This is kind of like a before. I just started the raw ketogenic diet yesterday. So we're gonna take a look at my muscle mass now, and then we're gonna take another look in 3 months. And this is good because my shirt's inside out. I could put it back to where it's supposed to be. Okay, so this is raw vegan. I've started working out just recently. It's pretty good for just eating raw, I think, at least. I'm not like all, anyways. So we got the before and after. There we go. My shirt's inside, it's right side out again now. Okay, so now if you're wanting to lose weight, and there's dangers with this too, which we're going to talk about in a minute. The science is blatantly obvious that if you want to lose weight, this is probably the most ideal diet you can do. And why is that? When you eat sugar, insulin comes in and brings that sugar and puts it into the cell. And the body only can handle 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar at one time. I mean, at one given point in time, yeah. So anything more, it's like a teaspoon. So anything more than that, your body is what it's gonna do is gonna store it as fat. So if you're eating sugar, you're gonna be using that sugar as your fuel source. And then anything excess that you're eating too much of, like all of us are doing, you're gonna store the rest as body fat. The science, that's what the human body does. So when you eliminate sugar and carbohydrates from your intake completely, or just down to 5% through vegetables usually, what happens is your body will utilize all of the reserves of the sugar. The insulin will do what it's got to do, but at some point you're starving your body of sugar. And now what your body's going to do is going to take your stored fat and utilize that as fuel. And so if your body is using your stored fat as fuel, it's breaking it down. That means your stored fat, wherever you have stored fat, if you're self-conscious about any extra weight, your body is going to use that for, you're pretty much losing the weight. I have actually, since I've been started talking about this a couple weeks ago, I have 2 girls who are doing this with me, and they're losing weight like they can't believe right now. They're just like, what? It's like unbelievable. So it's that simple, is eliminating eliminating sugar and carbohydrates. And so this is a good method for diabetics too, because they have their issue is too much sugar and too much insulin. So then you've got to the place you want to be, then you can start eating things like fruit again. If you don't want to continue with the ketogenic diet. You guys, I'm all about optimization. 18 years ago, I jumped in onto this 100% raw food diet. Why did I do this? I had no health issue. I just learned about it and I realized it might be one of the most optimal diets in the world for physical and spiritual health. So I did it. I was blown away by what it did. So I'm learning, we're talking about longer telomeres, increased mitochondrial function, less free radical damage, increasing your beauty, all of these different things by doing a keto, eliminating all sugar, where there's less metabolic waste in the human body on an ongoing basis. There's less metabolic waste through if this science is correct, then obviously it is more optimal on one level. So some people might be like, what about like the polyphenols from blueberries and things like that? Well, what I'm gonna start doing, I gotta keep these out here so I don't forget, is eating these olives. These are so high in polyphenols. It's absolutely crazy, these, and they're amazing, these olives. So also increased muscle mass, the whole weight loss thing, less inflammation. And then it's also stated that as we age, we become more inflamed. So if you can kind of like curb that with doing a ketogenic diet, because what we were saying is the main ketone body called beta hydroxybutyrate induces something called histone acetylase inhibitors. What this does is it makes it brings our DNA and makes it more compact. It helps suppress inflammation. It protects us from outside factors and stuff. We want our DNA to be tight in there. That's like the protection we have. Now free radical damage is less. It's like proven to do this. More mitochondrial function, longer telomeres, things like that. So if the science is, that's why I'm doing this experiment. Not because of the muscle mass aspect, even though I'm kind of curious to see what that's gonna do. Also, less free radical damage means more beauty, less wrinkles, maybe less sun damage because your body's you're more of an efficient machine is what I'm saying. Less metabolic waste in the body from burning sugar. These are the basics. And just from doing this for a couple days, I'm a raw vegan, so the transition should be pretty quickly. You start burning ketones when you fast for, I don't know, is it 3 days? No, 1 day, 24 hours or something. I noticed like my wrinkles are starting to change a little bit. I don't know if it's from this whole thing. Maybe it's from eliminating thing. I don't know, but I'm excited to see what this does in 3 to 4 months. The science behind this is incredible. So now what we're gonna go into is the dangers of this type of thing. Because we gotta be very careful when changing your dietary lifestyle. And I feel that the way that many people do the ketogenic diet can have long-term effects, negative impact on certain people. This is a good question. But before we get in there, I just happened to look of what, okay, so Cynthia Beavers writes, what's your typical day look like with my food? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is tell you what I was eating a week ago before I started eating this ketogenic, raw vegan ketogenic diet, and then I'll talk about what I'm eating now daily. So I've been eating 2 meals a day. I've been using paleo wraps for both meals. I usually eat the same thing every single day, but I change it up. Unfortunately, we have paleo wraps at cost right now, but we sold out of both, and the company doesn't look like they're going to be able to supply me anymore for a while. I kind of like took all their stock. Anyways, so what I used to eat, I actually just did a video on this, but I wake up every morning and I do 32 ounces of water to flush all the toxins from cleansing the night before. And then I run or whatever, I would drink sometimes 1 or 2 half carrot, half greens. I would drink 2 of those after my run. And then later in the day, in between my meals, I would have another half carrot, half greens. It's a lot of sugar. And then at night, I would have crazy amounts of coconut water, which is more sugar. And I would eat 2 meals a day. And the 2 meals would be, the first meal that I was doing for the last month was a paleo wrap, one of the white ones, with fruit on it, poured almond butter on it, and some cashew cheese that I made. And I would wrap that up, and I'd probably like eat 3 of them. So that was my first meal. The second meal of the day, I would make a guacamole out of just simply avocado, tomato, sometimes onions, and dulse. Put lettuce leaves on the paleo wrap, put the guacamole on there, I wrap it up and then eat it. And then I would have a bunch of this Omega Zen plus EPA stuff, which is EPA and DHA. And I would take that with the reishi spore oil. And I would also take like a teaspoon of coconut oil. I've actually been not using the coconut oil. I've been using something else now because there's studies showing that omega fatty acids absorb 2 times more efficiently when taken with coconut oil. But my buddy here, get it? Who's on a ketogenic diet recommended that I take macadamia nuts and coconut oil and put it in the food processor. And that's what this is. So I've been taking like a teaspoon of this or more with that fat for the omega fatty acids. This is simply macadamia nuts and coconut oil, 1-to-1, blend down in a food processor. It's really good. But I'm using that for the absorption of the omega fatty acids. And that's what I would eat for lunch. So when I was transitioning into this raw vegan ketogenic diet, if you think about it, in terms of food, I didn't really have many changes I needed to do because this second meal that I'm eating was all fat. I'm not doing the paleo wraps anymore because they use, I'm being extremely strict here. There's coconut water when they blend it and stuff like that. So I stopped that. So I didn't have to change anything but stopping using the paleo wrap for my lunch. And for breakfast, all I had to do was remove the cashew because that's a high carbohydrate legume nut, and eliminate the fruit. So I still eat the almond butter, but I use it with chia and what I do is I blend coconut meat and I put chia in there, and I mix all of that together, and I throw almond butter and I mix all that together. It's kind of bland. I still have to work my way through this. It actually tastes pretty good. Right now I'm just doing mechanics to deal with this keto thing, but I'm going to make that taste better. For example, my other friend took walnuts, and put it in a food processor with coconut oil and uses that as a granola on chia, and there's no sugar in there. I'm experimenting. So this is what I'm doing right now with my meals. So then the question is, if you want to get real specific, how many carbohydrates are in almond butter. Many of these ketogenic guys recommend almonds and all of these other nuts, and all these other things that I'm doing. Like, I'm on a raw food diet, so I'm already doing calorie restriction. With ketosis could be like a really big thing. But anyways, so, and I'm not hungry. I'm like having a really good time here. It tastes good, everything's great. So what I'm trying to do is make my way and try to figure this type of thing out. And so one of the issues, as I was saying, is, okay, so I'm eating almond butter. I'm not counting calories or anything like that. So I want to make sure that I'm in ketosis. So what I did was I bought a blood ketone machine where you use strips, you just prick yourself and put it on there. So I'm going to be doing this for a couple weeks. I ordered it from Amazon. To get something here in Ecuador, it takes like 2 weeks. I asked this guy to do me a favor, so I'll probably get it next week. And then I'll be able to see if I'm really in ketosis. Then I'll know if I have to switch anything up. But I completely think the almond butter is fine. It is. And everything that I'm doing is fine. So once I discover that I'm in ketosis, then I'll continue. If I'm not, I'll have to like break it down a little bit more, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm eating. Okay, so let's talk about the dangers of ketosis. Now, I personally feel and remember, I'm just experimenting with this right now, and I'm just trying to determine, I'm just kind of looking from all my knowledge and experiences, just from my point of view. I personally feel that a lot of people aren't necessarily doing ketogenesis in a healthy way. For example, many ketogenic, I was just watching Dr. Oz, and there was this ketogenic guy on there, and they're eating crazy amounts of bacon, lots of butter. That's like the new thing, is butter. Ghee, like beef with the animal fat on there. Like, don't cut the fat off. Just all sorts of things like this. In high quantities, eating very low amounts of vegetables, salads, just like maybe a few nuts in their salad, seeds, things like this. So I personally, and then when someone is doing something like this, like for example, I've been watching a lot of interviews of these guys that are big time working out guys. Their brains are really sharp, so they're getting the benefit from that level. But there's this underlying toxemia that is present, and this, I feel like, can have long-term effects. And this is why I feel like it should be done in a certain way for longevity and things like this. First off, let's talk about endotoxemia. This is probably the most overlooked thing in the whole entire ketogenic world. See, in okay, there's a few major revolutionary things going on in the whole entire health scene. I'm subscribed to all the different natural doctors, and I read all the articles. I see everything that's going on. The main thing, paleo is kind of like tipping off. It's like it's been the big thing, and now ketogenic is kind of like these are like the two big things. And then the other big aspect right now is gut health, and I think it is a pretty big important thing. A lot of inflammation starts in the gut and stuff like this. So gut health is extremely important, and in our gut, we have trillions and trillions of bacteria, hundreds of trillions of bacteria. It's like as many cells in our body. It's ridiculous. We're made out of bacteria. And in our gut, there's masses of them. And there's about 5 grams of the gram-negative species of probiotic, the bad bacteria is what we call it. And they have this bacterial appendage. And what this is it's an endotoxin. And when a person has a high-fat diet with a lot of saturated fats, what happens is when you absorb this fat, it's unavoidable that this endotoxin gets kind of like inserted into something called a chylomicron. And a chylomicron is a lipoprotein, transports things from the gut to other areas of the body. And this is a pretty legit thing. For example, any of us could do this type of thing. We could go to any fast food restaurant, such as In-N-Out Burger, and get a double-double. What happens, when you eat high fats and stuff like this negative bacteria, this endotoxin that is attached to this bad bacteria, goes into the chylomicron and gets put into the bloodstream of the human body, and it causes inflammation. And you could go get your blood test after doing something like eating crazy at a fast food restaurant, and you will see that you have bacterial fragments from your gut in your blood. This is just like a known thing. And there are many studies done, many major journals and research papers have shown they actually use butter and cream to test for this type of thing. And when they do this, there's so much endotoxins within the bloodstream and inflammation from eating crazy amounts of butter. It's insane. Now, what the ketogenic guys are saying is they know about this. Some know about this research, and they're saying, well, yeah, this is okay, but this is true, but the ketogenic diet is so powerful at suppressing inflammation, as we were talking about earlier. It actually suppresses inflammasome, which is the main inflammatory pathway. It's like putting the gas pedal on inflammation, and you kind of suppress this aspect. So what they're saying is it mitigates this type of thing. And they're also saying that possibly you're utilizing the fat as you're utilizing the butter as fuel when it comes in. But the truth of the matter is, there have been many studies showing that when you're on a ketogenic diet, your body starts to use stored fat just as much so you're probably not using all of the fat that's coming in. The body is definitely using stored fat. There was actually a study showing where they took high carb guys and high keto guys in athletic performance, and they tested their blood glycerol every 30 minutes doing all of this exercise and stuff like that. And what happened was, when they did this, what they discovered was that the people on the high carb diet were burning about 0.68 grams of fat per, I forgot what it was, minute, or not minute, per hour. I'm not even sure what it was. But the keto guys were burning more than double that, 1.4. And their blood glycerol was shooting through the roof. And if their blood glycerol was shooting through the roof, that shows that they were actually not using the fat that they were intaking, but they were actually utilizing stored fat, which is huge. That's amazing for what we're trying here. So the question is, in these studies, butter and cream and stuff like this is creating all of this endotoxemia within the bloodstream and inflammation. Granted, these weren't done on ketogenic guys, so you can't really see if the inflammation the inflammation suppressors from a ketogenic diet are mitigating all of that. But it seems like there's no way you can avoid this entire process of, it's impossible. From my understanding, you take a lot of fat in this form of butter. These people are eating way too much butter, way too much animal fat protein, all of these things. Your body, they'll be able to handle it better because they're on the keto diet, because of all these inflammation suppressing aspects, but you can't escape the chylomicrons taking the endotoxins and bringing into the bloodstream and causing inflammation. And yes, the ketogenic will suppress a lot of that inflammation, but in the quantities that these people are doing, bacon and all of these other things, in the long run, I don't think it's a healthy diet. And when you could kind of sense it when you look at a lot of these keto guys who are doing heavy amounts of these things, it almost looks like they're very sharp and everything like this, but there's like a toxemia layer of some kind going on there. One major issue in that realm is just like women are worried about being overweight, guys are too, but men go through the same crying wah-wah thing in terms of losing muscle mass. It's like a big thing. It's like maybe even more crazy than the woman who wants to lose. They don't want to lose muscle mass. So I'm going to suggest I'm going to suggest a couple ideal ketogenic diets. One that's 100% raw, like I'm doing, and then a high raw cooked ketogenic diet that could be extremely beneficial. We're also going to talk about when you cheat, the dangers of what happens there. But the thing is, these guys who are working out like crazy into this ketogenic diet, eating crazy amounts of bacon and butter and crazy amounts of beef with all this excess fat where they don't cut off the fat. Not to mention that's where all the endocrine disruptors, phthalates, BPA, parabens, or all the toxins from animals are put in that fat. And they're saying, don't cut that off. That's where it's all stored. And I don't care if you're buying that type of meat from to eat this type of stuff on occasion, but this is like an ongoing thing. So there's no escaping this whole entire, these endotoxins and inflammation and this type of aspect from my perspective and understanding and my belief. And I feel like in the long run, they can run into issues. But as we were saying, they're scared to lose muscle mass. So, if they were to do something like this in a healthy way, in a healthier way, I'm not saying that they're unhealthy, but in a healthier way, like I'm going to suggest right now, they're going to lose muscle mass, and they wouldn't be like Arnold Schwarzenegger buff, but they'd be kind of more of like a Bruce Lee buff. But that's like too much of a mental swing, and they would rather not do something like that. But if we want to reap the full benefits of being in ketosis that we were talking about earlier in this hangout, of increasing mitochondrial function, which is extremely hard to do, but this is like a free pathway to do it, because when you're burning ketones fuel instead of sugar, the acetyl coenzyme A is put through the mitochondria. It is awakening it. It becomes robust and healthy. You are increasing. This is linked to longevity. This is linked to fighting against cancer. This is linked to longer years for longevity. It is linked to less free radical damage, more strength. You can handle all of the air pollution, cigarette smoke, the sun, all of these different things more effectively and more efficiently. And there's no metabolic waste for when you burn sugar. There's a lot of byproducts when you burn sugar. But when you're burning ketones as fuel, there's none. So I'm all about optimization here. That's why I went on a 100% raw food diet. I'm doing it for optimization, doing the most ideal possibly thing. So now if I can go on a raw vegan ketogenic diet where I'm not creating zero metabolic waste anymore from any sugar, and I'm not saying fruit is unhealthy. We're also going to talk about how I'm still all about the cooked whole foods diet, because many people, they can't go on the ketogenic diet in a healthy way, because they have to do it in the healthy way that I'm suggesting. You're going to have to limit your intake of food, and to lower the energy density of the amount of food you eat from like high density to low density. You go through withdrawals. It's like a spiritual nightmare. It's insane. So I feel a person is better off doing a cooked whole foods diet with the carbs, such as quinoa, a baked potato here and there, brown rice, because it satiates them, and they're not forced to eat overloads amounts of beef and stuff like this. It's like this. I don't think that so these carbs, these harmless carbs, which I don't think are ideal, but they're neutral. They're like nothing. You're not going to be in ketosis, but you're going to be fine through old age, degenerative disease free. They sustain a person to where if they were to eliminate it, they would compensate somewhere else, because to get to they would compensate with more animal protein and fat and beef and stuff like that. And that's the danger there. So then to change the amount of density you eat from this, what I mean by density is raw food is very water rich. Like you could take 5 pounds of raw foods and 5 pounds of cooked whole foods. This is a lot less food, but it's the same amount of weight. The density is way less. And to go to that type of density is such a nightmare in terms of what you have to suffer through Most people aren't willing to do that. And there's a lot of misunderstanding of that suffering path, because when you go through that path, you think you're doing something wrong. Maybe disease, maybe you're through, when your body is just cleansing out and going through withdrawals and stuff like this. So it's healthier, in my perspective, to be on a cooked whole foods diet like I've always been preaching, versus going on a keto diet and eating crazy amounts of animal protein because you can't handle less density. Okay, so here we are. Let's go a little bit deeper into these dangers of this whole entire thing. Okay. So when you do the ketogenic diet, you've eliminated refined sugars and carbs completely, and now you're just burning ketones, as you're burning stored fat and fat as fuel, which is great. You're suppressing the inflammation receptors, the inflammation processes. This is incredible. The thing is, when you cheat, your insulin skyrockets, and now you're no longer burning ketones as fuel, you're burning sugar as fuel, and now this inflammatory suppression that you have done disappears. All of these benefits that you've gotten from cheating from one cookie all disappears from anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. Even working out doesn't necessarily, it doesn't work like that with calories when you're doing this type of thing. Like, okay, you ate a cookie that's 80 calories, you're gonna go burn off 80 calories. It doesn't change the fact that the insulin is still gonna be there and you're starting to do this metabolic waste. So now you're on a high calorie, high fat diet. And as we were talking about before with these endotoxins, now you don't have the inflammation suppressing abilities to stop this endotoxin inflammation all throughout your body. You're in a really horrible position, especially if you're eating crazy amounts of butter, crazy amounts of animal protein, crazy amounts of all of these other things. Animal protein's okay in moderate ways, but when you are doing this heavily and then you cheat, all the benefits are gone, and now you're even digging a hole deeper. And then how often and how does someone know, like, if something, you got to be so like on it, especially if your diet's like that. And so that's an extreme danger. So now the bad bacteria with this excess fat from all this butter, it's been shown in studies, now you're on what these clinic are in the clinic, you're on a high fat, high carb diet. The bacteria mixes with the fat, goes into a chylomicron. This lipoprotein brings this gut bacteria, negative bacteria, which is pro-inflammatory, brings it through the gut, brings it into the bloodstream, and now inflammation is occurring. And now you ate that one cookie, your inflammatory repression stopped, and now what? It's not healthy. So that's a danger. But if you do it in a way that I'm mentioning, on a high raw cooked way, then you're just like on a cooked whole foods diet. You're not overdoing anything. Then if you cheat, you might have repercussions with weight loss, but it's not going to be as damaging to your health because you're not overdoing butter, you're not overdoing animal protein and things like this. And so the gut has 5 grams of these negative bacteria at any one given time. And there's only one thin cell epithelial layer that kind of like coats the entire intestines. And so we got to make sure we're ideal food choices to where we're not absorbing all of these negative bacterias, bad bacterias through these chylomicrons, so the inflammation occurs within the body. So it's pretty critical. Gut health is big time right now, and it's big. It's true. It's important. So we've got to be careful with what we're consuming, and this is like is an important thing. So going back to this, how I feel like would be a healthy way to do a ketogenic diet, either raw vegan, which is the way I'm doing it, or if you want to do it with cooked foods also, because you don't want to go so extreme. Because it took me 18 years to get to this place where I can eat this energy density of food with what I'm doing. This isn't recommended for most people. I recommend a cooked whole foods diet. So I told you about what I do on the raw vegan ketogenic diet, and I still got to test my blood ketones next week or the week after that to determine if it's working, which I will do on video. But the ideal diet is probably the following. And here's another aspect about the ketogenic diet. Many people think that you're supposed to eat lots of protein on the ketogenic diet also. It is not necessarily true. You're actually supposed to limit your protein intake also, because if you eat too much protein, it spikes insulin and you get thrown out of ketosis when you're overdoing protein. If you mix protein and sugar, you never want to, if you're looking to lose weight, you never want to mix protein and sugar. This spikes your insulin by like 2 times. Too much protein can spike your insulin also. So we want to limit our protein. So here we go. What would I recommend for the ideal ketogenic diet? I like to call it the high raw ketogenic diet. And I'm going to give 2 levels of high raw ketogenic diet. If a person can handle this energy density of food, it might be too much, what I'm about to recommend. But what I would recommend is, this is being recorded, everybody. What I would recommend for someone, first off, is eliminate refined sugars and processed starches completely. You're eliminating carbs and sugar completely. This is what the ketogenic diet is. So you start burning fat as fuel. There's no metabolic waste like when you burn sugar. So here you go. Sorry, vegans. This isn't going to be up your alley, but we're looking for optimization and health for people here. We're looking at longevity. We're looking at burning ketones. Start utilizing our mitochondria in an efficient way that's extremely easy, that it has been impossible until this time. You'd have to do calorie restriction, starving yourself. You'd have to do intermittent fasting, heavy, crazy exercise. Now you can simply just do this. And then this is linked to longer telomeres, which are the caps on top of the chromosomes that it's anti-aging. You're going to have less free radical damage. Your cells are more tight. Oxidative stress is combated. Inflammation is suppressed. This is an incredible thing. So here we go. My recommendation is to do 1 animal product meal per day, and then get the rest of your meals from raw vegan. That's the extreme high raw ketogenic approach. The extreme is what I'm doing, which is is not easy. If you haven't been doing this for 18 years, that's one thing. After this, we're going to go deep into all the questions, everybody. I haven't read any comments yet. So when you do this, as we were stating, you don't want to eat too much protein because that will kick you out of ketosis. The ideal amount of protein would probably be 3 to 6 max. You might want to go like 3 to 4, maybe 5, 6 if you really can't handle it, ounces of a protein food in a given meal. But my extreme recommendation for a ketogenic diet is all raw with 1 animal protein meal, not go anywhere between 3 to 6 ounces, preferably 3 to 4 or 5 ounces. And the choices that I would personally choose would probably be egg yolks. Eggs, like 3 or 4 eggs you could make in any way you want. If you really wanted to take it to another level, you could only do the yolk, because if you look at the insulin index, the whites spike insulin more than the yellows would. And the yellows is where all the good stuff is. My daughter's on a 100% raw diet, and she eats the egg yolks in an omelet, just to make sure she's a growing girl, she's getting everything she needs. So she's 100% raw with just the egg yolks. This has the B12. It has omega fatty acids, maybe not the DHA and EPA, but other omega fatty acids. It has the protein. Everything is in there. And this is the good cholesterol. This is everything that's good. There's fat in there, all these other things. This would be my recommendation with maybe avocado, and you could even do like raw goat's cheese. Goats, you want to make sure if you're doing any amount of dairy, you want to get it from a farmer you trust, because we don't want to have any endocrine disruptors in there, phthalates, parabens, all that junk. This is pretty important. And then the rest of the day is raw vegan. If you can handle something like that, that right there would be a crazy high raw ketogenic diet. If you and you could switch up the eggs with the other animal products there are. For example, fish. If you want omega fatty acids, you want to get the good fish. I'm not going to go into education about how farm fish, they're throwing antibiotics to get rid of sea lice, and there's more toxins and a lot of that stuff. You got to get like wild Alaskan salmon and other things that are all these other, you could go do research on that. You want to get the healthy fish. You could do one meal of just the fish, a salad or something. Or for those people that want to eat beef, it's just like once in a blue moon type of deal, once a week or something. But you just do the one animal protein meal, and or animal product meal, and you can switch that up every day if you want, or just eat the same thing every day. And then you want to be eating high fatty foods like coconut oil, macadamia nuts, avocado is huge. I still have to determine if almond butter is ideal. I'm going to figure out everything out next week when I start testing my own ketosis blood and everything like that. So the secondary ketogenic diet, high raw ketogenic diet that would be healthy, if this is too much for you, if you can't handle it, it would be the one I just mentioned is ideal. And if you do the one I just mentioned and then you cheat by accident because you can't handle it or something, the negative aspects aren't going to be that bad in terms of health. Weight loss, maybe. But in terms of health, you're not going to have many issues with this whole entire inflammation, bacterial gut thing we're talking about, because you're on a cooked whole foods diet, not overdoing anything. It's just one meal a day of animal product. And then the rest is raw vegan. You can't go wrong there. So then the next step, you could do 2 meals of animal products every day, but you want to limit the quantity and you want to have big salads with it. The big salads are huge. It kind of acts like as a bulletproof vest on this type of food as it goes through the human body. You do not want to add any sugar to any of these meals. That would just be a disaster. And you've got to eliminate the refined sugars and carbohydrates. And it's almost like you have to, it's like an entire lifestyle change. You've got to read every label and ingredient that you come across. If there's hidden sugars such as MSG, you're screwed, because that boosts insulin by 200% probably. MSG could be like hidden. Sometimes it's not even listed in foods. Like if you go to restaurants, it makes things taste good, but it's like hidden sugars and it's really bad. You're going to be bumped out of ketosis for probably 36 to 72 hours. And if you're eating all this other junk, then like sticks of butter every day, then so it's like you got to eat at home or you got to everything. It's like a strict thing. So we're talking for the secondary one would be 2 animal protein meals with salads in both if you can. The first meal, maybe at least one of them has to be. And then if you're eating 3 times a day, that last one has to be like lots of raw food. Salads are key. Vegetable juices or smoothies are really good and important. We want to be getting lots of greens, Green juice, no carrots anymore, no beet juice or anything like that, just straight green juices or green smoothies with, I don't know what you're gonna put in there. I'm not an expert in green smoothies, but cucumber maybe, I don't know. We need all of these nutrients because what we've been talking about today is burning fuel energy. This is like our sustenance. This is how we get our energy, but we've also got to be make sure we're maintaining our nutrients, vitamins and minerals, taking things like Heat Essential, doing vegetable juices. Also, it's important for this type of diet make sure you're getting potassium from greens and magnesium and stuff like this. It helps support what we're doing, our bodies and stuff like that. And there's so many other benefits, such as doing this type of thing where there's no insulin. Now you're opposing the stress molecule, the stress hormone, I mean, cortisol. You can handle cortisol much easier. You can handle more stress more easier. Stress is a big weight gaining hormone. And if you have eliminated sugar to where you have no insulin in you anymore, and you are burning ketones as fuel, your body is running more efficiently, there's less free radical damage, your DNA is more packed tight, you're gonna be able to handle cortisol like a champ. And your adrenals are gonna be more strong. So it's an ideal weight loss tool. It opposes cortisol on one level. It also supports the parasympathetic nervous system, which opposes cortisol. And this is another reason why we got to make sure we're getting greens with the high raw ketogenic diet we're doing. Because if you're going to eliminate greens, you need the potassium to support the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps relax you. It will help oppose the cortisol and things like this. So what we're dealing with here is something that has the potential to be extremely revolutionary. It is like changing our genetic expression. It is creating new more powerful signaling pathways throughout the human body. And what this is it's when one molecule creates this signal pathway it activates the next molecule to do the next thing, to the next thing, to where the entire process is carried out to create the metabolic pathway completion of the thing we're trying to accomplish process in the human body. And the main ketone body that we were talking about earlier is extremely powerful at doing this. It's like you're creating new pathways, as we were saying, in the muscle, 140 more increased protein metabolites are occurring there, and that's just the muscle alone. Imagine what's happening throughout the entire body. You are suppressing inflammation. The inflammatory NLRP3, which creates nasty inflammatory cytokines, it's suppressed, it's inhibited. You are changing your genetic expression, not your code, but your expression. You're using new pathways. It's incredible. And this is why I'm so excited about it. And the muscle thing is fun. I'm gonna see how big I get. It's gonna be cool. I'm a public figure, so if a raw vegan guy can actually develop some sort of muscle mass that looks pretty good, that's pretty impressive. So we're gonna check that out. But we're looking at increased mitochondrial function here. It's so obvious. You start using your mitochondria for the process to get your fuel. 10% of your body is mitochondria. And you awaken that. And that people are suffering so much by doing calorie restriction, fasting, crazy heavy exercise to reach these states to get our mitochondrial function working. And then DNA repair is huge with ketosis. As I was stating, when the main ketone body is called beta hydroxybutyrate, and this induces something called histone acetylase inhibitors. And what this does is it it compacts our DNA more tightly within the cell. DNA repair happens more effectively. You're using the mitochondria of the cell for fuel. It's like it's getting this workout. It's a very powerful thing. Drug companies would die to have something this powerful in their hands to give to people and to sell to people. It's like you're getting drug-like effects by simply changing your way of eating. So I'm excited to test this, put the science to the test and to see what it does. Are my wrinkles gonna go away? Is my beauty gonna increase? Am I gonna have more resistance to chemicals and exhaust and diesel and cigarette smoke and all these other things? I'm about to find out. We're looking at the before and after right now. So we're gonna check it out. So now what we're gonna do is go through the questions. Oh man. Okay. There's a lot of, whoa. Okay. Deborah writes, I appreciate the in-depth information that I have heard, that I haven't heard elsewhere about this diet. But we got to be careful. As we were stating, there's a good way to do it and there's a bad way to do it. And then there's dangers if you cheat. So we got to be smart about it. So if you do it the way I'm stating, if you cheat, the repercussions aren't going to be as bad as if someone who's eating like sticks of butter on an ongoing basis. So what's the deal with dropping cashews out again? Cashews is a high carbohydrate. When you're doing the ketogenic diet, you want to be eliminating carbs and sugar. Carbs are, this is why refined sugar and processed starches is the one and two things to eliminate the most damaging foods to the human body. Not because it uses sugar, like fruit is healthy. We're just trying to bring the body to a new level to see if we could do something incredible here. Fruit is healthy, but we're trying to see like what will happen if we eliminate sugar completely in a healthy way. So cashews is and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just what we're doing here with this experiment. Okay, how about vegan but not raw? It's like you tell us raw or animal, no? What I'm doing is a raw vegan ketogenic diet, 100% raw vegan. I'm eating 0 animal product. The fat that I'm eating is a little bit of coconut oil, not even that much. And I bet I'm still in ketosis. This doesn't even make logical sense to the keto guys. I'm doing macadamias, I'm doing chia seeds, coconut meat, almond butter, avocado. It's like I'm not even doing that much saturated fat. It's like the saturated fat is not as bad as people say. It's true, but many ketogenic guys are overdoing saturated fat, and that's where the dangers can come into play. I feel if you cheat, and if you're doing way over too much, like a lot of them are doing, then they might get bad breath. They don't smell the best. It's like they got to cut that down, but then they lose muscle mass. But that expense is not worth it. And to be honest, I mean, from my perspective, I feel that women like muscle, but not like it's like they like the clean muscle on some sort of level. And it's like, it's like the aroma, the lean muscle, the cleanliness there. It's like all that together. All right, calm down. Okay. What are you drinking and juicing to stay on the diet? Okay, this is amazing. This is a whole nother aspect that this might even be another reason why my wrinkles are going away. I don't know what is happening here. As I stated earlier, these wrinkles around here started just fading. If I lose these ones up here, these came from 10 years of lying in bed, stressing about business, trying to figure out how to make it, and just like not sleeping, stressed, intense. And this was like always there. It was like this intensity. Plus I would sit in the sun for hours before I learned, where I should cool it and things like that. But regardless, these ones are starting to go away. So what I'm drinking is, I just drank 2 of these right now in front of everybody. I'm doing green juice, wild greens from our garden, with cucumber and some celery. And we have ginger, which I haven't been doing quite yet. So I've been drinking a lot of these. And the main thing I've been drinking on top of that is coconut water. This is just loaded with probiotics. I haven't done anything like this. When I first did it the first night, I would get all this extra gas because my body wasn't used to so much of it. And so I've been building up and building up, and less gas. But like I woke up in the morning and something just felt different. It was like energized. I think everything together with the whole entire pack. So I've been drinking crazy amounts of coconut water kefir. And what happens is it eats the sugar. The probiotics eat the sugar when you do that. So there's no sugar there. We're experimenting with getting it at the perfect level, because there is a way, if you do it wrong, the bacteria is not all healthy, I guess. This is really bothering me a little bit because I have to figure out how to do it right. Because sometimes it's off and I just don't drink it. But also I got to make sure that there's no sugar left in there. So this is another reason why I'm getting this blood keto machine. I got to figure out, does anybody know a way to test to see if there's sugar in the coconut water? Let me know. So I've been drinking a mass of that, and that's just extremely beneficial. Would love to know the brand of the test you've procured on Amazon. I am loving this keto state I'm in, but I'm worried as the fiber content being absent. Psyllium husk in green smoothies, perhaps. Chia seeds. Chia seeds is like one of the best fibers you can get. Just don't make the mistake I did on the first day and put like a half a cup in there. I'm like experimenting with anything, like a cup maybe. I don't know what I put in there, but that hurt. Okay, so the brand of tester, I'd have to leave here to look at it and it would mess me up. Ask me on Facebook and in my Monarch, or ask customer service and I'll get it to you. It seems bizarre to me to not eat any fruit. It seems bizarre to me also. Facebook kind of just went out for a second. Okay, so it seems bizarre not to eat any fruit. Fruit is part of the bounty of the earth, something we are meant to eat. Don't see how that is sustainable over long periods. An entire lifetime with no fruit sounds depressing to me. It did to me also. And maybe this isn't even going to work. This is why I'm doing this. There are certain ways. You just got to be careful here. To where if you keep your intake of carbs 5%, then you can get away with just a little bit of fruit. Also, there's fiber in fruit and things like this. But I'm all about optimization here. There's nothing wrong with fruit, guys. We're just trying to get into a state of ketosis in the highest possible way. Like, this is the goal here. Like, ketosis, like, so therefore, it's not a matter of like, oh, fruit is bad, but I'm eliminating all sugar I possibly can. Fruit is extremely healthy. It's probably one of the healthiest things you can eat. I'm not against fruit. It's just for this experiment. Maybe I'll be back to fruit in 5 months. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. It does seem kind of depressing, but without fruit. But if I'm going to reap the benefits that I think with like better brain function, I feel clean without no metabolic waste with the sugar aspect, like, and my focus is good, like, that is worth it more to me. But I don't know. You could probably obtain this with fruit if done correctly, or maybe you don't even need to be in ketosis. We're about to find out, but this is an experiment, and if it goes as I'm hoping, I'm sticking to it. The green juice you're swigging, how many carbs? Catherine Joe says. This is all vegetables. There's no starchy vegetables like carrot or beets no tubers or anything like that. The 5% carbs is probably here, is what I'm doing. And I don't know about the almond butter. I think it's okay. I mean, all these keto guys are recommending almond butters all the time. Weight loss and longevity. I don't have to worry about weight loss, but I could get muscle mass. Keto-friendly raw foods. How are you keeping the carbs under 20%? Protein only 40%, fats 60%. Fats are supposed to be 85%? No, maybe it's 65%. I'm not 100% sure. Without meat, eggs, cheese, what are you eating? Well, I already mentioned that. Okay. Okay. I'm only answering ketogenic diet questions. And then once I'm done with all the ketogenic diet questions, I'll go to the regular questions. And then if people want to stay, they could stay. But as the body breaks down, as the body's fat breaks down, don't the toxins stored within the flow through the body? So you want that out anyways, right? You don't want to be living with it. One of the benefits of the raw food diet is you're squeezing all of the toxins out. When you clean all of the toxins out, you start to vibrate. You start to vibrate more ethereally. You feel more of the ethereal world. So one of the main things we want to do is get these toxins out. Danny writes, customer service is support@therawfoodworld.com, or just go to therawfoodworld.com and hit contact us. We handle all issues until any customer is satisfied. By the way, the ACOS specials ends in 24 hours from now. Now is the time to order. It's off the hook, everything that's available right now. Okay. Which kefir starter are you using for the coconut water? Is it on your website? Also, will you be partaking in stevia? I don't like stevia, it's nasty. I don't need it. Things start tasting sweet to you, like chia blend, okay, coconut meat blended with, just blended coconut meat with chia seeds and then almond butter, it almost tastes sweet. We're just using probiotics for the kefir. Okay, so, hey, from Austin, Texas, just began a ketogenic diet, been keto for over a week now, probably for weight loss, because it's incredible for weight loss, but I'm actually a raw food chef, so I'm quite interested in how tonight goes with your presentation, freaking out that okay, we were talking about how the ketogenic diet kind of mirrors calorie restriction in terms of all the benefits you get from there. So it's easier to go into ketosis when you're on a raw food diet. It's almost like fasting. Fasting, you can get into ketosis in a very quick amount of time. Like really quickly, within a day, depending on how you fast. Sometimes it can be 3 days. If you don't drink water, it's like 16 hours. So it's easy to do, I feel like, with a raw vegan diet, but I'm not 100% sure. I have to wait till my blood tester, keto blood strip tester gets here, which will be next week, end of next week, hopefully. Probably the week after that. So I can't be 100% sure with what I'm saying until I actually experience it myself. Yeah, greens are critical for health on the keto diet. Okay. I've done keto meat before and did really well, but I then switched to raw vegan. I thrived on both. I was type 2 diabetic at the time. I slipped out of cooked vegan and went SAD diet. 2 weeks started back on raw vegan. I want to do raw keto like you. I've only had that through green juicing, but can't sustain all the juicing. Look forward to research, learning you do. Huge salads, guys, with lots of, you could literally take a huge salad, take as many avocados as you want, 1 or 2, depending on where you're at. If you're on the standard American diet, you got to change. We were talking about energy density. You have to go through withdrawals and detox so you can handle more avocados than a guy like me. You could take avocados and just mush it into greens, throw tomatoes on there, dulse, salt, and you got a huge salad. Like, boom. You can eat salads all day. Stephen Redding. Hey, Matt, excited to hear about your new ketogenic adventure. Could you give an example of a typical meal? I already did that. You probably heard it. I am full swing into the diet now. I just have to make sure we're doing the coconut kefir right. Okay. What do you think about okay, we're just doing keto diet and then we're going to come. Okay. Can you comment on the impact of the ketogenic diet on Alzheimer's? Can there still be benefit to the brain from simply adding good fat to the diet and not totally keto? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we were talking about that earlier. Okay. So for the brain, there's 2 benefits by being on a ketogenic diet for the brain. Number 1 is you're eliminating the cause of the issue, which are refined sugars and carbohydrates. This is what the research is showing is the cause of the Alzheimer's with people with Alzheimer's. So if you can eliminate refined sugars and processed starches completely, that means you have to increase fat on some level, not too much protein, fat more. You're gonna, even if you're eating fruit, you're gonna have benefits with brain health. You don't need to be on a keto diet. You're eliminating the harm that is taking place. If you wanted to take it to a new level just for brain health, if someone has signs of Alzheimer's and they were gonna try to do something to fix that, you eliminate refined sugar, you go on keto for 3 months, just clean everything out, start using your mitochondria, boom, 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 boom. And then you can start eating fruit only as your sugar source. And then every once in a while, you can have fun with coconut sugar or something like you're at a party or a potluck or da-da-da-da-da. For your ketogenic routine, do you or would you consider the OK diet eat any of these? Almonds, yes. Avocados, yes. Hemp seeds are big too, yes. Raw vegan protein powders. Brown rice isolate, no. That's just nasty. No. It's not nasty, just to me it's nasty because it's just not what I like to do. So everything but the protein powders. Then you're taking the fat out. That's what protein powder is, taking the fat out. But this is just for keto. If you're not doing keto, you could do that stuff. I'm going to come to the Facebook questions and just hitting these ones right here. How are you going to do raw ketogenic when the raw food diet is mainly carbs, fruits and vegetables? Well, I kind of explained that already. I'm kind of excited to see what happens, you guys. I need to get my ketogenic generator. Okay, I'm sure. Okay, so we hit all those. Is there a place for bone broth soup on the ketogenic diet? Probably. I haven't done much research on bone broth. A lot of people are heavily into that type of thing. We've been exploring the ketogenic diet for the last while and actually had been thinking that the diet you were on when we met you 10 years ago was pretty close to being ketogenic. What will be different? Okay, I already kind of explained that. Okay, so let's look at Facebook real quick. Here we go. Man, I haven't even been able to answer any of the other questions. Okay, whoa, this is ridiculous. Okay. Oh, wow. Dude, you guys, this is the craziest hangout we've ever had. Well, I'm glad that people are liking my body. I was a little self-conscious about that. I wasn't sure. I thought people weren't going to like. Okay, boy, did I turn at the right time. Whoa, Miss Angela Monarch, one lucky lady. Yeah. Okay, from Alex Viata, BS Biochemistry. Okay. A word on fat adaptation for the notion that consuming high fat, low carbohydrates will alter the individual's metabolism, form hours of fat metabolism. Jeez. Okay. I can't read that. Okay. What is your green? Okay. I have removed all fruit from my diet. We ran out of peeling nuts. That would be probably good too. All right. Coconut oil. Okay. That's just a comment. Okay. The ketogenic took out avocados and other oily veggies like olives. You could also do chia oil, hemp oil. Macadamia and avocado is delicious too. How about the heart disease risks associated with high-fat diets? Okay, so heart disease is the #1 cause of death, or #1 or 2 cause of death in the United States right now. And what happened was the government made these conclusions that you're supposed to have crazy amounts of serving of bread and sugar, or bread and grains and all these other things on a daily basis, and low fat. And since they made these recommendations many years ago, heart disease is through the roof. You want to be going with these recommendations, or do you want to be healthy? Like, fat is healthier than refined sugars and processed starches. It is the cause of heart disease is more the refined sugars and processed starches than fat. Low fat is out. We don't want to overdo saturated fat, in my belief, but all the other fats are good, and we don't want to overdo anything. If you are an overeater and you can't maintain, you snack all day, you have large meals, you can't control yourself, or you can't maintain certain meals, then the ketogenic diet's not for you. Then you want to be doing quinoa, these things that sustain you and stuff like the healthy stuff. And then once you've balanced out on that type of diet, you've changed the energy density of your food to where you can handle less density. Then you can, it's like a step before, then you can do something like the ketogenic diet. And again, I'm experimenting. Maybe in 3 months, I'm gonna be like, this is whack. We're gonna find out. Maybe I'm gonna be flying. The women's body responds incredibly well. I already have I'm helping a couple women do this kind of as an experiment. I've been telling people to do this on their own accord, but you got to be careful. If you cheat, you start insulin spikes, even just a little cheat. And the weight loss is pouring off of these women. Like, it's unbelievable. So you could do a raw, Cynthia Beavers writes, you could do a raw keto granola and almond milk for cereal. Yeah, I'm thinking about taking, like, my chia meal, maybe taking nuts and food processing it with coconut oil and putting that on top or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm just signing on. Would love to hear complete message. This is awesome. Okay. Yes, I checked out Jeff Volek. You won't even want to cheat once when you become fat adapted, someone said. I have Hashimoto's and have. Okay, I have Hashimoto's, someone writes. And how do you heal the gut eating nuts and seeds? I would love to hear what you have to say about the disease, which many people have who want to be vegan, but are told it's impossible to heal. Okay, Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disorder. Okay, first off, all thyroid disease unless you've been exposed to radiation, secondary to another health issue. So if you have a thyroid issue, you're not producing enough T4 to T3 or whatever, you go on drugs, you still don't lose weight. The issue is probably the conversion of T4 to T3. That's the issue. If you start taking Synthroid like T4, you put the gland to sleep, and then you become dependent on this, and then the T4 still doesn't convert to T3. You could have liver issues because 80% of the thyroid converts in T4 to T3, so you got to fix the liver issue. So the issue isn't necessarily the thyroid. It's the thyroid, but it's a secondary aspect. So you got to figure out what's going on there. Are you digesting food correctly? Do you have enough gallbladder fluid, bile, that kind of helps the conversion? Are you constipated where your liver is blocked? Do you have candida, which is causing all this excess waste in your body to it blocks your liver? Like, there's so many possibilities. Are you high? Do you eat lots of estrogen and endocrine disruptors to where estrogen blocks the thyroid? You got to eliminate all that stuff. There's so many different possibilities. We got to fix that up, and the thyroid just comes back on its own. But if you have an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, there is something you can take that will heal. But well, forget. I'm not going to say anything. First off, I'm going to mention what you do right now. But before I do, check with a healthcare practitioner before making any changes. What I'm doing here is not to cure or diagnose or anything like this. I'm just talking about nutritional support, and everything's based off of my experience. Okay, so if you have Hashimoto's, there is a product, you want to be careful with anything you take, called Thyrotrophin, PMG, by Standard Labs. And what this is it's kind of like thyroid DNA. And your stomach has all of these lymph nodes, right? You take one of these every night before you go to bed, and it goes into your stomach. And then what happens is it acts as a decoy. And all of those antibodies that are attacking your thyroid, what it does is it comes after, it gets fooled and it leaves your thyroid and then attacks the Thyrotrophin PMG that you just put into your stomach. And then what happens is you do that every single night, then the decoy continually works, and then your thyroid can hopefully heal up while you're working on figuring out the aspects of your issue, which is most likely refined sugars and processed starches have to be eliminated. Maybe you need to take ox bile, gallbladder fluid. Maybe you've got to make sure you're not constipated. You got to figure that out and handle that. And then if you're doing this other glandular at the same time, then boom. If you do this thing without fixing the issue, then you're just, in the long run, it's going to be no good. Let me ask you a question. What happened in your life that was really stressful that this autoimmune disease occurred? 99 out of 100 times, generally it happens after a life stress, loss of a loved one, divorce, getting dumped, like some sort of crazy stress where the cortisol levels just get so spiked and your body gets all messed up to an autoimmune disease occurs. Okay. What do you do if your liver is still weak and gallbladder has difficult time digesting fats, good fats? Well, the first thing is to eliminate processed foods. And then once you eliminate processed foods, then your liver can come back. And so you guys, what I'm doing is extreme. If you are eating processed foods right now, refined sugars and processed starches, then that might be, you'll reap so many benefits by just eliminating that alone. One of the reasons why people get such good benefits on any diet, including the ketogenic diet, is because they're forced to eliminate processed foods. That's one of the main benefits of the ketogenic diet right there. There's all these studies showing like triglycerides go down, good HDL goes up, LDL goes down with the ketogenic diet. Well, one reason is also everything we've talked about tonight, but also you're eliminating all the crap. So you have a blocked up liver. The way I'm saying to do the ketogenic diet is not eating crazy amounts of fat, crazy amounts of anything. We're trying to do it a sustainable way. And maybe your liver will be able to handle it because you're doing such an improvement to your diet by eliminating the crap, which hurts the liver. Insulin resistance, sugar is so bad for the liver, way more than fat. So the first thing is eliminate the sugar. This is what fatty liver comes from, too much sugar. The insulin will deposit all of that stuff there, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to eat. The body can handle like a teaspoon of sugar at a time. If you go beyond that, it becomes toxic. Insulin takes this, brings a lot of it through the liver to be metabolized, and then when people in America are drinking sodas, like 14 teaspoons of sugar every day, that's the average. You're producing so much insulin, all of a sudden the liver is like, stop. It says stop, and it won't accept it. This is insulin resistance. It stops it. It says no more. I don't want any more sugar. I'm going to stop it. But then you continue to eat sugar, and then what happens is the insulin ends up in other areas of your body. You get higher belly fat. You become fat. So then you go to the doctor. They're like, oh, your liver shut down. You're from insulin resistance. Here's metformin, which is a drug that will force your liver to start receiving insulin again. When your liver was like, I'm on overload. So then you take the metformin. The liver starts going on again, and then what's happening? You're overworking your liver. The key is to eliminate the refined sugars and processed starches, and your liver will probably come back just from that. Oh man, it's been 2 hours already, guys. And apple cider vinegar could be good too. Yes. Okay, Cynthia. Okay. There aren't any keto vegans. Let's start a group. Yes, group, Matt. Great idea. I'll invite all my followers. Okay, let's do a group. Crystal, can you please create a raw vegan ketogenic group? Let me know when it's done. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is create a raw vegan ketogenic group. It's happening right now. Is this being recorded too? It is being recorded. Gluconeogenesis. Yes, that's different. Okay. I missed the beginning and would love to share with others. It's recorded. You can go back. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So so someone says, I know studies show that it helps with my epilepsy, which is caused by, the vaccine. What about when you have chronic inflammation in your gut, leaky gut, colon? So what we want to be doing is fixing our leaky gut, our colon, with beneficial bacteria. But what they're doing now is these main guys into the ketogenics, they're like big time doctors. They're working with special ops, Army, Navy, all these other things. And they're doing tests whether ketogenic diets can work better. For example, they are sending people, like there's a lot of people, Marines, or I don't know what they are, they go underwater for long periods of time. And when they're under water for long periods of time, more free radicals are coming in and stuff like this. And they're figuring out that the ketogenic diet, their DNA and cells become more tight, can handle more oxidative stress, that it's actually having beneficial effects on these special ops people. So they're testing the ketogenic diet with that type of thing. Am I eating 1 animal protein meal per day? No. I'm trying to make it available for people who don't want to be raw vegan to do this. It's very difficult to do what I'm doing. Okay. I'm thinking about growing my own spirulina for EPA and DHA. That's pretty cool. I have a big arugula Okay. Okay. Butyrate. Okay. So we got Valerie Gusway here, who's heavily into ketogenic and is just like all over the place. Oh yeah, Precision Extra is the name of the ketogenic blood tester. There's also a breath thing you could do that I was thinking about getting. Okay. Okay, so once Matt gets fat adapted, I might be into ketosis now just because of how my diet already is. And then it says I can have strawberries and blueberries, blackberries, raspberries in small amounts. No, I'm not doing that. I want a full-blown blast as far as I can go. I've done this with the raw food diet for 18 years due to optimization. I can do anything. I can never eat fruit again if I had to. I could do whatever. It's not a big deal for me. It's like, this is what I'm doing. That's what I do. But I'm not saying fruit is bad. I'm just trying to I'm attempting something. And if it is true, then I'm going to stick with it. I'm doing tomatoes and cucumbers, no zucchini. Got to order a bunch of stuff for the cafe. That's cool. You need 6 to 7 cups of greens. Okay. Okay. What supplements are you taking during this phase? I've been doing some chlorella spirulina here and there. The glass vial thing, yes, Quintessential is probably the best mineral supplement available that I have found. You get it at therawfoodworld.com. At cost is still available for 24 hours. Dude, okay, we're almost at the end here, and then I could go back to the other questions. Would you recommend a liver cleanse for some sort of starting ketogenic diet? No. Reasons is when you do a liver cleanse, that those green things you get out that you think are stones is actually bile. And when you use bile, it gets recycled back into the system through the bile keeps getting recycled. And when you do a liver cleanse, you dump the bile. And this is something we don't want to do, especially on a ketogenic diet, because it's the bile that breaks down fat. If anything, you want to be adding more if you have a gallbladder liver issue. That right there alone could, in some instances, help people with their thyroid issues just by simply taking ox bile 40% with 45% cholic acid. Sugar. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm just going. So Cynthia Beavers is here. She's like a big time raw food chef. 14 to 15 years ago, we met. Okay. I've read that there can be issues with women doing the keto diet. I was doing a keto raw vegan diet for a while, but got to a point when I felt it was time to reintroduce carbohydrates again and was not getting menstrual cycle. Could be a lot of reasons though. Have you read anything about this? It's been said that when your body fat goes below a certain percentage, you might start not getting your period. It's not my field of expertise, but I've heard of also women who get pregnant without their period. I'm not 100% sure about that type of thing, but what I have come to believe is, I feel like one of the reasons why women sometimes live longer than why statistics show that is because they get their period every month, and it's like an unloading of toxins. So it's like they get a free cleanse every month, even though it's uncomfortable and stuff like that. And when a woman becomes extremely clean, there's less toxins. So sometimes there could be no blood. Maybe it's because it has to do with that 20% lower than 20% fat thing. I don't know. This is just something I came up with intuitively. So I'm not 100% sure about that. Dang, I just bought 16 packages of paleo wraps. Can I have those for the keto diet, or I can wait to start? You're gonna do it. It's mainly fat, but there are carbs in there, but I'm just going like way extreme, guys. I'm not like anything that has sugar, I'm just staying away from. I'm an extremist. During my transition, when I eliminated fruit and cashews, I continued to eat the paleo wraps until 2 days ago. So I would just eat them. You could transition like I did. It will make the transition much easier. Eat paleo wraps until they're gone. There's nothing wrong with paleo wraps. I don't know the best ketogenic raw recipe out there. This woman lost a lot of weight on a keto raw vegan diet, very little carbohydrates. Okay. Oh, wow, we're already here. Thank you for taking time about talking about Hashimoto's. Yep. Matt, dude, I wish you would have come on during America's Got Talent. Love you, man. I'll watch later. Wish I had the unlimited access to coconut meat. Can you mail me some? Okay. Okay, so Crystal, I don't know how fast you can do that type of thing. She's Skyping me. If you can post it here, the raw vegan keto group. Okay, it seems like I always make it a point to answer every single question at all these Hangouts. I think I'm almost through Facebook. I've only answered, okay. The supplement that I showed, we carry it on our website. It's Quintessential 3.3. It has all the minerals the body needs. I guess okay, so Crystal made the Facebook page already. Post it below, raw vegan keto. Okay, oh, she already posted it. Go to my Facebook page or go to news.therawfoodworld.com/live and you will be able to sign up to this raw vegan ketogenic group. I'm excited about it. I don't have a gallbladder and losing weight has been near impossible. That just pisses me off. I mean, that they tell a person, like the gallbladder is so important and it could be remedied easily. Sometimes lack of bile causes gallstones, and there's ways to eliminate gallstones. Aside from avoiding processed foods, what would be the best way to cleanse the liver then? The best way would be a gentle approach through carrot, beet, cucumber juice on a daily basis, twice a day. You can actually do carrot, beet, cucumber once a day, and like carrot, spinach another day. I mean, do 2 vegetable juices a day. Carrot, beet, cucumber, and then carrot with greens or carrot and spinach, carrot with something else besides that. You will cleanse the liver in a gentle, fast way, get incredible amounts of vitamins and minerals like you can't believe. Okay, maybe you could do a talk on healing Hashimoto's. I just did. Okay. Okay, so I hit all the questions on Facebook, everybody. We are going to continue on. We've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And the numbers have dropped a little, but this is incredible. Okay, so here we go. It's the weekend, everybody. That's what people are saying. They make this their weekend. Okay. Okay. Okay, so you're good, Valerie. I'm just like on a rush here. I wasn't going to read every word. Hi, Matt. How do you deal with the guilt spiritually when you have to defend yourself, hurt someone physically, emotionally, or sue someone? We'll answer that one next Hangout. Can you post that on the next one, Crystal? Okay, Jake here. Hey, Matt, my question this week is carrying off of last week where you were saying that if you take the raw foods and colon hydrotherapy to an extreme, you will be capped out from the spiritual benefits after 1 year. Yes, Ronnie, you can use dried coconut instead of young coconut meat. You know what you could do is you can make coconut butter with that. What is the source of the minerals in quintessential? Watch the Hangout 2 Hangouts ago. I go into great detail about that. But wasn't the raw food diet making you grow more spiritually for many years down the road as your body became more efficient? You would eat less and less. And the less you eat, the more vibration you feel. It's not the less you eat, the more vibration you feel. It's the more toxins you remove from a cellular level, the more you feel. Even now, if you were to just drink juice for a few weeks, wouldn't the vibration be more intense? Focus would be. And how about the whole theory? Okay. And how about the whole theory on cellular detox? Like you said, Fred Bishy's cells are probably detoxed from his ancestors. So if your gut continues to become cleaner after 50 years, wouldn't it raise your vibration? What you're doing here is relying on detox for spiritual growth. And that is such a slow path compared to what else is available. Now, maybe you do feel a little bit more, but the majority of it happens in the first year if you're doing the colon, if you've cleansed out like crazy. And then it's kind of like capped off after that. It just feels the same from there on out. Even if you are getting more later down the road, which is not that noticeable, it's just your everyday now. At the beginning, it's such a big change. You're like, woohoo, raw food. But then after that, it's forgotten. It's like the same thing ongoing. The issue is, Jake, that I have and I've kind of been getting over it, is the mental aspects of being worried about everything I eat, being boxed in, all of these other things. Okay, here's an example. I was running this morning, and this truck gets in front of me with heavy exhaust fumes. Now, what I did was, spiritually, I just worked it in a way to where I wouldn't get upset about it. Like as soon as upsetness kind of came in, I was like, nope. And I would just like, until it was gone and I was fine. In the past, if I was running and a diesel fuel car came in front of me, I would become infuriated. I'd be screaming and yelling in my head and just so pissed. I'd be home upset after the run and stuff like that. What was more damaging? The becoming upset, the cortisol, adrenaline pumping through me, anger, all that stuff, or the actual diesel fuel that I breathed in? Not the diesel fuel. This is kind of how it works. We've been programmed by society to believe certain things. We've been programmed by the health movement to believe certain things. If you're running and all of a sudden there's detox fumes in front of you, your brain is like a computer. And all of a sudden you go straight, you get upset, you kind of look up into the brain, and then there's a picture there of thoughts and information, all the stuff you've ever learned about diesel fuel, how it has this and that, and how it's bad for the human body, how it feels at that moment in time. You're breathing in this and this and this. That one moment of that computer generating aspect, that program, you react to it. And it's how you react to it determines how much damage you actually get from the diesel fuel. It's like law of attraction. So is it the diesel fuel that actually hurts you? If a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it really fall? So then the other day when I was running and then the diesel is gone, I stayed calm the entire time. I didn't even care. It was no issue. It was not an issue. It wasn't even a blip in my being. So then you worry about fat with fruit, and then you have this belief structure that you got from listening to crazy guys like me who had all these belief systems, and Fred Bishi and all these other raw food guys. And then there's your computer brain. And then are you going to freak out because you ate fruit with fat and then you have these detrimental consequences to where it does actually hurt you? Or are you just going to like the feeling of gas? Is that going to impact you? So what I'm saying is it took me 18 years to get over this mental mayhem of the raw food diet. It took me 18 years to balance out mentally on the raw food diet. I was in a box. I was worried about everything I ate until I was doing enemas all the time until I ran into some problems from this worry, fear, and all these other things. So the shortcut is to skip all that. You don't need to go through 18 years of it. Okay. Okay. What do you think about omega-3s? There's really no omega-3 in the vegetarian diet except flax and chia seed, but that's ALA, not DHA and EPA. Okay, so what I have is a product that I take every day. It's Omega Zen Plus EPA. I don't know where it is right now, but this has ELA and DHA. It's from an algae source. I see you, Shauna. Seems like we're coming to an end here. I think we answered all the questions. Would this be the best diet for someone that suffers from mitochondrial disease? Again, I'm not a doctor, and anything I say is simply based off of experience, and it's very wise to get a healthcare professional's opinion. Okay. If I would say, yeah. Because what that is, mitochondrial disease is a group of disorders caused by dysfunction of the mitochondria. So if you start burning fuel through ketones, your mitochondria is forced to be utilized. Can those thyrotrophin pills you talked about replace natural desiccated thyroid? We're using it as a decoy, and that's it. Desiccated thyroid can be an issue. It can make you hyperthyroid because the issue isn't the actual thyroid. So now when you start using desiccated thyroid, what you're doing is you have the potential to put your glands to sleep, your thyroid function to sleep, because it doesn't need to be used anymore. So the goal is to fix the conversion process or fix the liver or fix the estrogen dominance thing or fix the stress thing or whatever it is we have to fix. And then the thyroid comes back. If you're going to start, if you go on any hormone therapy replacement, Insulin is a disaster. Like, come on, like, you just got to eliminate the sugar. That's what you do, and the carbs. So we want to make sure we eliminate all of these things. So we don't want to be on hormone replace. We don't want to take hormones ever. I don't care what the situation is. If your thyroid's been taken out, that's one thing. If you've had radiation issues, then that's another thing. But the goal here is to never go on pharmaceutical drugs that are permanent forever. Because then you don't fix the underlying problem, and then you become dependent on it. You put the glands to sleep. There's no need for them to work anymore. It's kind of like the mitochondria. All right, guys. Let's see what's going on here. What do I prefer, organic coconut oil or MCT oil? I haven't experimented with MCT oil yet. I don't know. All right, guys. Oh, man. Okay. Someone put their dog on a raw vegan ketogenic diet. It's not something I would personally do. Larry writes, ketogenic raw salad dressing, please. Apple cider vinegar. You could take salad, put on avocado with dulse or salt, mush it all together with your hands, throw tomatoes on, kind of massage it in there, and then like the mixture of the tomato juice, the avocado, and the salt. Perfect. Walter writes, once you've got this completely nailed down with all your testing, you need to write a book about this, explaining both how and why, the different ways of doing it, and how to transition from one thing to another. Mike says, do you have an email contact? It's best to write me at Matt J on Facebook. Write me on Facebook, Matt Monarch, or go to customer service, support@therawfoodworld.com, and they send me everything. But you can hit me up on Facebook. Is there a place? Okay. Oh, Jeff B writes, use a refractometer to test sugar in the coconut water, kefir. Can you send me that, Crystal, in an email? Okay, so Larry, you said, how about vegan but not raw? It's like you tell us raw or animal. Yeah, you could do that. Steam vegetables. I don't know what that does to the carbohydrate content. What else would you cook that's not a carbohydrate? But it works. All right, I think I hit it all up, guys. Oh wait, here's some. 2.5 hours. I have Graves' disease and I'm on a raw food diet. This is hyperthyroidism instead of hypothyroidism. This is a hyperthyroidism autoimmune disease. You mentioned that thyroid issues are caused by something else. I've had it for 18 years and used to be on drugs. Now I'm on Thyrocalm herbal and I'm on menopause. Can you give me some advice? I don't know what other body organs are affected. As you mentioned, the thyroid is usually caused by something else. Someone says there's a huge difference between bioidentical hormones and synthetic ones. Again, what if your ovaries have been removed? Well, I stated earlier that if your thyroid's been removed, then that's a different story. If your ovaries have been removed, it's a different story. The key is to fix the underlying cause of the issue. And it can be many different things. And generally, it is either a liver issue, liver gallbladder issue, too much sugar, too high insulin, or too much stress, too high cortisol. And the ketogenic diet, from what I'm seeing, removes the insulin factor, helps with the cortisol factor in a big way. And these things also, losing weight is a big thing on top of this also. And so then there's the liver issue. Generally, when you eliminate refined sugars and processed starches, that might fix the situation right there. Maybe you need apple cider vinegar to help with digesting food, enzymes. And then also, you got to make sure you've got, bile. I've been on a 100% raw for a few weeks now. I have no appetite. I get hungry and I eat, but then I tend to forget to eat sometimes because the appetite just is not there. Why is this? Well, what was your diet before this? Sometimes when you go on a new diet, you're like cleaning your palate and stuff like this. For example, going on this raw vegan keto diet for me, I began to notice like the cashews were starting to impact me from doing it every day, large amounts on an ongoing basis when I'm this clean. Most people it won't have that impact on. And I was excited to cut it out. And then it's almost like you start feeling differently. Your mucus cavity gets cleaned out. You're cleansing. Different things are happening. And it's like you're not necessarily focusing on food, but focusing on healing, if that makes sense. It's like you want to continue the process. The desire to eat isn't there. Maybe that's one of the reasons. But it feels good. I get hungry and I eat, but tend to forget to eat sometimes because that appetite just is not there. So you just eat when you're hungry. That's good. I am in stage 4 chronic kidney disease with GFR of 27 and creatine of 2.55. Any suggestions? I don't want to get into dialysis stage. Please help. Larry writes, thanks for everything. I'll be watching with much interest. I am 67 years old, vegan for 25 years. Feel like I'm 35. That's awesome, Larry. Matt, been so awesome. Thanks for your time and great info. See you in the group. I've invited a lot of people. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I'm about to call it off here. Let's see what Ronnie has to say. How do I know if my thyroid is still able to work? Okay, Ronnie writes, hey Matt, it's Ronnie. I know it's you. This is my first live chat and enjoyed it. Lots of good info. I have been obsessing about high carb versus high fat with diabetes big time in my family. I'm going to give raw vegan ketogenic a shot. Thanks. That's cool. Cool. Raw vegan ketogenic. And then if you're going to go, you know, cool. Let me know how it goes, Ronnie. I know that I don't want to like mention eggs to you, but that might be something you want to mess with. If it's too extreme. Okay. The question is, how do I, okay. Okay. Stage 4 chronic kidney disease, that's like the final stage. That's like, you got to do some serious things here. I mean, you might want to come to our retreat. But the main thing is, I've got to do more research. But the key for all of these things, most disease, is we got to eliminate the cause, which is refined sugars and processed starches and processed foods. We've for everything, we've got to just eliminate that. It's got to be gone. And if you're vegan, but what else are you eating? What's not ideal that you're eating? Bread, refined sugar, trans fatty acids. Your coconut kefir has eaten all the sugar if it's slightly milky, frizzy, and have a slight foam on top. 12 to 24 hours on the counter does it. Okay. All right, guys. Is cheese a processed food? It's best to get raw goat's cheese. It's on the cooked whole foods diet. It could definitely be something you can do in moderate quantities. All right, guys, that was a fun hangout, crazy hangout. I'm glad you enjoyed. The response was good. We got the before picture of my body. And so thanks for coming on. Almost 3 hours. I appreciate it. We're giving this raw vegan keto thing a shot here. And this is Matt Monarch. We're gonna do this every Tuesday night. If you want to see updates, you want to join our newsletter list, which is at therawfoodworld.com. Just throw your email address in any of those fields, and then you'll be added to our newsletter list, therawfoodworld.com. I'm going to be giving articles, updates on my transition. You can ask questions here all the time, but you want to be part of that. I announce Hangouts soon, maybe 1 to 3 months. I'm going to start doing 2 Hangouts a week. The second Hangout isn't just going to be me. It's going to be more of like a radio show. I'm going to be interviewing experts and digging into them, like the old days. So also at cost specials and in 24 hours from now, we have an incredible lineup. Now's the time to buy. Hemp seeds are ridiculously low priced, and so is cacao powder. Our next retreat is starting to fill up. We still got plenty of spots. There's some extra spaces here now. So I highly recommend this retreat, December 21st, I think it is. I don't know. Go to therawfoodworldretreat.com. It's going to be awesome. Elena Love is the chef. She's off the hook. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you guys next time. Oh, wait. I want to see the